After 5 security guards at a California casino essentially George Floyded a Korean man that was suffering from a severe mental health crisis, then the casino tried to cover it up, and then they essentially also unalived his sister as well. By the way, this was the only newspaper that even bothered to write about this at all. This is Jonathan Jung, who on July 24th, 2021 went to the Bicycle Casino that is located and visible right off the 710 in Bell Gardens, California. Shortly after 3 p.m. that day, Jonathan was playing baccarat at the Bicycle Casino when he all of a sudden started suffering from a severe mental health crisis and started hearing voices in his head. But he wasn't being too much of a nuisance to other people, and he definitely was not violent to anyone around him. But because the casino staff didn't understand what was going on, they asked him to leave. And as you can see from the security footage from the Bicycle Casino, he did. He left on his own accord without making a scene at all. When 5 security guards who decided that they wanted to be, extra discriminatory to people who are suffering from mental health crises that day, decided to follow Jonathan Jung out. And I mean, Jonathan Jung really didn't make a scene. He even left $3,800 on the table and even expressed to security officers that he just had a desire to get to his car and leave. But that's not what the security guards did. As you can see from this outside security footage, all 5 of them decided to then chase Jonathan Jung across the parking lot. At this point, it's just before 4 p.m. and after they caught him, they put him in a car and drove him to a far corner of the parking lot where there was no one there, where they then knocked him down, hog-tied him, put his arms and his feet behind his back, then put one of their knees on his back to the point that he wasn't able to breathe, to the point that he vomited, turned blue, and within 3 minutes of this happening, he was gone. And the casino maintains to this day that Jonathan died because of this, which is very odd because there's a lab report that states that there were analytical difficulties with the specimen matrix during the collection of Jonathan Jung's blood sample, which means that there were problems with the way that the blood was collected, stored, and tested, yet they concluded that that was the cause of death. And then later on, when further forensic pathologists, respiratory specialists, and toxicologists all concluded that Jonathan Jung's death was caused by restraint asphyxiation, which is not only what George Floyd died from as well, but is also has become illegal in the state of California after George Floyd. And Bicycle Casino even claimed that their security guards had trained with over 32 hours of training, but they didn't know that a year after George Floyd died, that California outlawed chokeholds that can't be applied using pressure with any body part, especially the knee. Not only did the casino originally deny that there were any security footages of any of this going on at all, which is weird because then how did we get this exact snapshot of one of the security officers putting his knee on Jonathan Jung's back? And then the family had to learn from then a medical examiner's report that there was actually video and that the casino attempted to conceal more information from July 2021 till at least August 2023. Like, not reporting Jonathan's death to the California Gambling Control Commission under California and federal law, where casinos must report debts to the CGLR, where they can lose their license or get fines. I mean, why would they do that? Oh, right, because they were under investigation for criminal activities at the time of Jonathan Jung's death. Like, being under investigation for money laundering, and they didn't want extra eyes on their case. Or like their own investigative report, failing to mention anything about one of their security guards pressing down on Jonathan's back with his knees at the time of the incident, which means that they didn't thoroughly investigate it because they left the most important part out. Which also means that none of the security guards faced any criminal charges whatsoever. Because one of those security guards even testified a couple of weeks ago on June 18th and stated that he not only didn't want to be a part of it, but that one of the security guards pulled Jonathan's legs back and pressed down on him while the other pulled his arms behind his back, literally hog-tying him like he was some sort of fugitive, and then handcuffed him to the point that Jonathan's face turned blue, he started vomiting, and when they turned him over, he had no pulse. All in a matter of 3 minutes. 3 minutes. During the leadership of the Bicycle Casino CEO, Hisham Minay. Oh, but that's not the end. Here is Jonathan, pictured when he was back in school, along with his older sister, Vanessa Jung. And Vanessa had dreams of becoming a physician, but she changed her dreams because of her brother's mental health issues, so she decided to become a psychiatrist. And Vanessa Jung became a clinical psychiatrist, and she was meeting with the lawyers at Bicycle Casino and repeatedly told them that she never wanted to watch the security footage of her brother being unalived, but the lawyers forced her to watch it anyway, and because it was so gruesome the way her brother was unalived, she couldn't stop playing it in her head after she left that meeting, and few days later, because she was suffering from severe PTSD from it, she took her own life. And in addition, Jonathan and Vanessa's mother also is suffering from dementia. And Jonathan, even with all the mental health issues that he was going through, took care of her on a daily basis, going to her home to make sure she had groceries and going grocery shopping for her and talking to her, making sure that she remembers everything. And after Jonathan passed away, their mother's dementia started getting progressively worse. So now Jonathan and Vanessa's father is suing the bicycle casino for $132 million. $1 million for every single second that he was actually suffocated while restrained. Not only did the casino not provide any training to their security guards on the dangers of hog tying, putting someone face down, and asphyxiation, there was absolutely no reason to harass someone who was peacefully leaving on his own accord without harming anyone, to the point that they did this and took away this man's life and his family. Because not only should Vanessa Jung still be alive to help other people, which was her life goal, and so should her brother Jonathan Jung, who did nothing wrong except suffer from a mental health crisis that he had no choice over. Rest in peace, Vanessa Jung and Jonathan Jung.